Hey guys, welcome to today's Euro 2020 review. And of course, there's only one place to start. That is with the Tartan Army, Scotland, making their first major tournament appearance since 1998, France 98. So it's been 23 years, and the long wait is over with their opening clash against the Czech Republic at Hampden, and it was quite the atmosphere at Hampden, although rather edgy as the afternoon went on. But the table was set. You had a classic BBC montage of Scottish football history, and you had weird, scary rockers, weird, scary, hairy, freaky rockers, Biffy Clyro getting in on the celebration.
Releasing the pressure, the horrors that await. Hell has no fury like a human born. It's only reality can't replace it. And now I'm losing all control. Why do I fear it? This is the sound that we make.
But credit to the BBC, who after the rough week they've had, put on a brilliant video package, as I said, showing the history of the Scottish football team and their path to this first tournament in 23 years, and really had a fine panel line of Eddie Barber, who's developed into a great broadcaster, and Shirley Carr, who was especially good in her post-match critique of the Scots and their lack of good decision-making and lack of experiences and nerves at the back. Good show all round, and it's sort of quite a novelty really to hear an all-Scottish broadcasting team on the BBC's Euro coverage here in England, including the commentators and everyone in the studio. It's just a little bit of a novelty, and it was refreshing anyway. Fair to say that didn't happen at Euro 96. A more old school Scot at pitchside for the Beeb was Rambo himself, Paul Lambert, who must be in between jobs, I guess, but he casually dismissed the threat of the group and the worry for Scotland, claiming that Croatia were an aging team past their best and they could be there for the taking at Hampden. So Lambert really, I always imagined talking a little bit like classic old school 007 James Bond.
James Bond.
Ice cold as well was Scotland manager Steve Clarke in his pre-match interview. I mean, quite a cool cat, but also with those icy stares, just someone who looks like he could potentially whip out like a machete or like a machine gun at any moment. That guy could be deadly for sure. So the anticipation was over, time for match time, and I have to say it was a very hard working Scottish performance. They didn't actually do a lot wrong. They started very brightly. They had some good industrious play, some good work, some good link-up play, and actually when they tried to play football, they were actually pretty solid, created some good opportunities. But I think on the day they just got the little things wrong at both ends of the box and didn't quite have that rub of the green. But that's what I mean. It kind of felt like the sort of thing that happens when you don't have tournament experience. And in the end, they were found out. There was some fantastic saves. One of the big things for them, as was pointed out at the end, was that they couldn't really get top playmaker and scorer John McGinn into the game. He was very isolated. Only really sort of half chances. There were some good chances for Scotland. They hit the bar in the second half. Dyke had an opportunity, a couple in fact, one which he should have scored really. His shot was low down, the keeper made a good one-footed save, but his shot was weak at the end of the day. There was plenty of drama, but the Czech Republic slowly worked their way into the game. They are seasoned professionals at the Euros. They've qualified in the last 7 tournaments, and to be fair to them, they kept their calm and actually took the crowd out of it. First of all, the header right on half time, a few minutes to go, it was a classic breakaway, a beautiful weighted cross, and the header just beyond Neil Marshall's reach. And actually, in the second half, when Scotland were coming back strong, the Czech goalkeeper made probably the save of the match, and there was a few of those where it was almost a classic own goal, and he had to track back and just reach the ball and palm it from under his own bar over the top to make the save. One of the hardest saves you can make. That may be the save of the tournament. And speaking of things of the tournament so far, we then got the goal of the tournament with the young striker's second goal of the afternoon, which was just amazing vision, just amazing technique. What was it, 49.9 yards away from goal. Incredible. It ricocheted following a Scottish effort on goal, which maybe was a bit sloppy and the wrong decision, and that led it into the path of Schum and his amazing lob from, pretty much the halfway line, had Marshall scrambling back, and it's one of those all the more dramatic and just painful goals to watch as he scrambled back and just couldn't reach it. But goal of the tournament so far, an absolutely worthy winner. Scotland kept their heads up after that, didn't lose their spirit, did keep at it. I think Robinson had a really good performance today. He's such an important player for Scotland. Had one of their better efforts as well, and sort of led by example. But yeah, I think once the second goal went in, the match was pretty much dead. The crowd did go a bit dead, and the Czech Republic were very professional. They controlled the game very well, and I guess again write them off at their peril because they've had a decent qualifying run, and a 2-0 win may be a bit harsh on Scotland, but I think they just made some crucial errors that you can't make at this level and in this tournament, and Czech Republic just had that little bit of extra class that saw them through and puts them in a good position. Obviously, up next for Scotland, it is the Battle of the UK. It's Scotland against England at Wembley, and then they end against Croatia, who, according to Lambo, are past it and washed up. And if Scotland can perform like they did at times in today's game, they'll have a chance against Croatia. But obviously, all eyes on Wembley for the England game. So Scotland, I think, because of the nature of this Euros, with 3 teams qualifying from most groups, I think Scotland will feel they've still got a chance. But this was classic. Classic Scotland at a major tournament. And 3-time European champion Spain made their tournament debut against the steel of the Swedes. And this was a classic contrast in styles, really. Spain playing their traditional high pressing game with some fluid passing, lots of movement, and the Swedes playing a different sort of pressing game as they set off and tried to get something from the breaks or maybe from the set pieces, but a more sort of rigid, steely sort of Swedish performance. And for certainly the first half, the Spanish game plan were working, where they were sort of running circles around Sweden. There's another player called Torres, so they've got a player called Torres in the Spain ranks, so that sounds just about perfect. There were some impressive runs from the strikers like Morata, and Jordi Alba looked good on the wing as always. And Sweden were struggling to keep up pace, but they somehow managed to stay in the game at 0-0 at half time. there was a very good save from their keeper, low down from a header, which was very agile to keep that out. And you have to say also the likes of Danielson and also Lindelof at the back, they're like old school centre backs who just throw their bodies at everything and were a big part of keeping Sweden a clean sheet tonight. And Danny Murphy, the brilliant BBC commentator, was great again tonight, but he was almost like writing the Swedes off. He was really having a go at how their pressing wasn't working. Rio Ferdinand also reiterated that later. And also this bizarre thing of the Swedes having two strikers and yet not really using them, not really getting in game. And Danny Murphy was pretty much predicting that this strategy would come back and bite the Swedes long term, and he made a good case, but it didn't quite work out like that. Anyway, it was sort of quite an intriguing game. It's one of those games that was uneventful in a very eventful way, if you see what I mean. But just the intrigue of it and the contrast in styles made for something quite interesting and compelling. And I think there were just like these random moments of action that actually made it really exciting, like towards the end of the first half, where you had Aesop, who proved one of the best Swedish players on the night. He had this chance where he basically got in on goal, and his like shot took. There was a Spanish player on the line who hooked it away, but then he knocked it against the post, and as fortune would have it, straight into the goalkeeper's arm. It was one of these weird, bizarre moments that stood out as one of the best of the match. But the second half was completely different. I mean, Spain just lost their rhythm and struggled to really create much, and Sweden looked a lot more comfortable at the back, and even got one or two like other chances of them. Again, Aesop looked very good, or Isak. His sort of dancing into the box was absolutely brilliant at time. Yeah, bust a move, Isak. Can't believe they took him off later, but he danced into the box and created a chance for his strike partner Berg, who absolutely fluffed it. He was at the far post at the golden opportunity, but yeah, just slipped and just skied it up. But Isak, being the class that he is, actually lifted him up in the air and helped him up. And Isak seems like an exciting, unpredictable player. I hope to see more of him. But yeah, it was more easy for the Swedes in the second half, and it ended 0-0. But it was a very decent 0-0. It was a very watchable 0-0. But Spain, a bit of a missed opportunity. Certainly a better point for Sweden than for them, and it sets them up quite well for the group. They're an odd team, Sweden, because they're the sort of team who you feel their negativity at times maybe could cost them in the long run. But they do feel like a very solid team, and I think from set pieces or maybe a little bit of magic from someone like Isak, they can cause teams problem. They can maybe get the odd random goal. You don't expect them to score that many goals, but maybe the odd like breakaway moment. Would hope to get out of the group, especially with, as I said, a lot of groups having 3 teams escape. So I actually quite enjoyed that match. I know a lot of people might not feel the same, but the contrast in styles made for a pretty like watchable game, I felt. So 0-0 it was, and as I said, a bit better result for Sweden. Hopefully better to come from Spain as well. And in the other match of the day, Slovakia, in a slight upset against Poland, Ledonowski and all. 2-1 it was to Slovakia, who of course take control of the group after the first game. They are top of the group, so they have it. That is day 4. Not a bad day overall, pretty eventful once again, and yeah, I'll be back tomorrow with my thoughts on day 1, which includes world champion Spain. France. Freudian slip. France's first appearance of the Euros, and they are the favourites for the whole tournament. So yeah, come back here tomorrow for my Euro report for the day. Like and subscribe. Share me out on social media. You can also ding the bell on YouTube, which will notify you when I go live with a live stream or when I put a video up. But I'll see you guys again soon. Goodbye.